What many people consider the hardest part of the mathematics exam in terms of the shape questions are questions which involve missing angles and sides and areas of triangles without a right angle. These questions will typically appear at the end of the examination paper. What you need to remember for all these questions, again, which appear at the end of the examination paper, is that the formulas used are given on page 2. So, I'm going to use each of these formulas for each of these questions. The first question wants me to work out the size of side y. To decide whether I use the sine rule or the cosine rule, I simply ask, do I know the side and the opposite angle anywhere within the triangle? And here I do know a side and the opposite angle. Because I know these, I will use this rule. Notice on this question, for example, I don't know the side and the opposite angle in anywhere in the triangle, so I wouldn't be able to use the sine rule. But I can on this one because I know the side and the opposite angle. So first of all, I'll label the sides. I always label the ones that I want to know and the ones that I do know as A's and B's, using an A for the side and a capital A for the angle, B and B. Now I'll substitute these letters into the formula. Now I've substituted that into the formula, because I want to know the side A. At the moment my formula has A divided by sine 60, so if I multiply each side by sine 60, it will allow me to work out the unknown A all on its own. And this gives me an answer of 11.305 centimetres. Okay, the second one, top right, this wants me to work out the length of angle X. It should say the size of angle X. So, to work out this, I start by asking, am I going to use the sine rule or the cosine rule? And I ask myself, do I know a side and the opposite angle? Well, yes, I do. Here I know a side and the opposite angle, so I am definitely going to use the sine rule. I'll label it up as before. This time I don't know that angle, but I do know this angle and I do know this side. I'm going to now substitute into my formula. The important thing to note at this point of the question, because the thing I'm trying to find out, the unknown, is on the bottom of this fraction, I need to flip both fractions to make it be on top. Okay, so the unknown is now on the top, and at the moment I've got sine A divided by 6.3. So again, the opposite of dividing by 6.3 is to times both sides by 6.3. And the only problem with this answer is that this is the answer of what sine A is. So to work out what A is, I simply need to inverse the sign. A equals sine minus 1 of all of this up here. Now I haven't got room to write that out, but I'm going to put that in on my calculator. And this gives me an answer of 54.8 degrees. Note that I could have just worked this part out on my calculator and got my answer, and then press sine minus 1 and then click the answer button to use my previous answer, which would have given me the answer also of 54.8 degrees. Okay, the third question. I want to know the length of this missing side AC. I ask myself, do I know a side and the opposite angle? And in this question I don't, so I'm going to have to use the cosine rule. Always label the side you want to know in the cosine rule with the A, and the other sides can be called whatever letters you want. So I'm actually going to get rid of these labellings that's been used here. I know this is a side I want to know, so I call it A, and this is angle A. The other angles and sides can be called B and C in any order. So I'm now going to substitute in to the cosine formula. And on my calculator I get an answer of a squared as being 189. Notice that you can simply substitute this entire formula into your calculator. Be careful that you've got the add and minus and multiplications in the right places. Now because this is a squared and I want to know what a is, I need to square root that answer to work out that a is the square root of 189, and the square root of 189 gives me an answer of 13.75 centimetres. Okay, the final question asked me to work out the area of the triangle. Now, the area of a triangle, when I'm asked to work that out, is a great question because you'll see from the formula that it involves AB sine C, and you'll see from the little picture given that A and B are two sides and angle C is the angle between them. Do I know two sides and the angle between them? Yes, I do. So I'll simply substitute those into the formula. The area equals half of one side times the other side times by sine of the angle in between them. I'll put that into my calculator, and this gives me an answer of 19.734 centimetres squared. Now, if I hadn't known exactly what both of these sides and the angle between them were, I might have to have used one of the other rules to work out the missing side or the missing angle, so that I could therefore use this rule. The only type of question here that's not explained is where you would have to rearrange the cosine rule to work out a missing angle, and that's when I'm given three sides and I can rearrange the formula to work out an angle. That is a very, very top-end skill, and one that isn't as typical in the exams as these four skills, so isn't a priority from my perspective. Now, I haven't decided to make up 4 more questions for you to try, but simply give you the same 4 questions to have a go at now, trying to determine which rules to use, have a go at substituting in, and then you can go backwards to check that you've got the same answers. So you don't need to pause, the video will now end, but you can do the questions and go backwards 30 seconds to check that your answers are correct.